I'll give you my perspective, which by definition is, I'm speaking on behalf of Sunshine as well. But we're at a crossroads. This industry has seen changes. Every industry has. You ebb and flow, and you go through periods of flux and prosperity. But I actually think we are at a really interesting point. And the pandemic indirectly created what we thought was the hardest year, right? Yeah. When we're living through the pandemic, it's health and safety. It's not quality of life, it's health and safety. Mm-hmm. Keep people alive. Protocols. There was no book.
Yeah. No.
We were creating the book on the fly for future generations. Now, we survived that, and I think the government did the right thing up front. I think the stimulus payment, the first one, I think it was necessary. People were literally not allowed to work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We were restricting people's ability to make a living just to keep people safe. Mm-hmm. As we got to the second and the third, as the unemployment assistance, $300 a week, continued to go, I think we may have crossed a line between doing the right thing and then eventually doing the wrong thing for the right reason.
Yeah.
And we've disincented people to get back into the workforce. But I say that it's an indirect impact because something happened as all of this happened. Not only did people not have the motivation, maybe, and I say maybe because it's not all, there are no alls or nevers,
right,
to come back to work. They were taking care of family. Mm-hmm. They created a different purpose in their life. The grandparents, the parents, the children, the cousins that maybe they didn't get to take care of, they weren't around as much, they found greater joy in that. There wasn't a laziness factor. They were okay. They were paying their bills. They had an influx of cash, and they realized that other things were more important. So now you have to have a motivation to come back, and this is where capitalism reared its head.
Yeah.
So the Amazons of the world,
McDonald's,
even McDonald's,
yeah,
any for-profit organization, and in Northwest Ohio, we've got Amazon, you've got First Solar, you've got a second First Solar site, you now have Peloton coming in, even as far as Sandusky with Cedar Point. Mm-hmm. Without a workforce, what did the for-profits have to do?
Increase wages.
Increase wages. Yep. Now, they can do that because capitalism allows them to. They can either increase productivity or decrease it. They can increase their prices or decrease them, et cetera, et cetera. In our industry, we don't have that ability. Mm-hmm. So we don't make anything, we don't sell anything. So now we could compete years and years ago at 9 or 10 with a certain demographic. Mm-hmm. We could then compete at 11, 12, 13 because we were close.
Right.
Yeah. We're not close anymore.
Yeah.
So now we have a math problem, and that's where we sit. So this is not a matter of there are not people to work. There are not people to work a very difficult job for significantly less than what they can make elsewhere.
Yes.
If you can make 20 and go home and never think about your job and spend time with your family, why would you make 13 or 14 and carry the weight of someone's health with you and worry about them when you're gone?
I mean, there are already people shutting down and getting out of it. He or you are right in the fact that we're set by Medicaid rates, so we can't go in there and increase them. So wages need to increase. We can't increase our reimbursement for that. We're stuck. McDonald's, you can pay whatever you want. So I think there is a weight game. I think that's accurate. But there's also a lot that, we are in potential trouble. I mean, I think the key is really finding the right people with the right heart who want to do this, because it's not easy. It's and I tell people this all the time. We have the greatest jobs in the world.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's one of the toughest jobs in the world. So depending on any given day, it could be fantastic or just downright miserable. But yeah, we are in a challenging time. I think people are already shutting down. I think that will continue. And I think that if you can get through it as well, there is a great opportunity for that.
What about you, sir?
I
So this is probably too in depth. edit. No. So to me, it really goes back to what we value in society, right? And I think for a long time, we've realized the importance of this work. And, obviously we do, being in this field and what it really entails. But society at large maybe doesn't, right? And people with disabilities, the elderly, like we're coming across this in every aspect of a caregiver's life, right? Of this career in general. And so just for a long time, like nursing homes are short staffed, hospitals, and so for a long time, we've really just devalued or thought like, oh, okay, well, we'll just give this amount to support these people, but we're not understanding the work that goes in it. And then at the same time, you have Medicaid with all these unfunded mandates, right? Get people in the community, do one-on-one work, do this and that. And so that's our heart. That's what we want to do. I want to sit there and, like you said, help enable people to live their best lives. And however I can do that, I want to do that. But it doesn't change the reality that at the end of the day, I can do a facility-based day program, right, with like a 1:16 ratio and make good money, opposed to having one staff out in the community doing one-on-one and doing real community building. And so you have to find ways to fund that. And to me, that's the frustrating part, because I think like right now they have a lot of wants.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of wants. That are just not funded, and they're not really valued. Like, people don't understand that, there are studies that show like you can cut Medicaid spending by $7 billion by having people have meaningful community relationships. So the more meaningful community relationships, and the less time they actually need paid support, you're saving money. And also when people belong, they're happy, they're healthier, and your, medical costs are going down. So it's just, how do we get there, and how do we make other people see that importance? Because how do you put data and benchmarks on what one person feels is belonging, and how that works? So I think I am concerned. I'm concerned on many levels, and I really am a little scared right now, like how many disabled people have to get hurt or die before you take action, because that's where I feel it is because we can't do those basic things. We can't, we have staff working 30 hours in a row, or, working, doing a sleep shift, still working. Like, we have people working all these hours, and at what point does your quality of service suffer? And so that's really, as an agency, what we're looking at now, and having to give notice or having to move people in together so that we can make sure that, health and safety is there. And health and safety is important, right? But, having a life and dignity of risk and all those things are important too. So I'm concerned. I think there are going to be places that aren't going to be able to continue, and that that's a hard thing to swallow, and just like being determined to not be one of those places.
The sheer thought of, in the last 10 to 15 years, I think we've went very far into community and residential for the people that we serve. And I just see it reverting. I see a whole lot of ICFs probably starting. I see a lot of, like you said, kind of, placement for a lot more roommates. Like, that was already a thing, but now I see it happening even harder and even stronger and even faster.
Yeah, I don't know about changes. Culturally, I think that's a change. I don't know if you do that through the legislative process or if it's just done person-to-person, conversation to conversation. But all the businesses that we bring into lot, give them tours, so much more before COVID. It's getting better now. People's eyes are opened in the general culture to how much people with disabilities have to offer, and their work ethic and their attitude. And even people that we've helped place in the community jobs, most employers are grateful for them. And we've had some good placements where they've been there for 10 years and longer. Just for employers to realize that there's I always hate to refer to them as a work pool or workforce, because that kind of makes them feel like assets, but they're not. They're people. But it's an overlooked group of people. So you talk about kind of like the last civil rights movement. I think it's people with developmental disabilities, and just getting our culture to embrace that.